So on the end user experience, what kind of endpoints can we protect? What kind of agents do we have to go out there and be able to protect modern databases, email servers, those kind of things that small to medium businesses are using, like QuickBooks? How do we select that data that we want to go out there and back up? And then last but not least, how do we make sure that we're backing up the data to potentially multiple locations? So following that 3-2-1 methodology where we have 3 copies of the data, 2 different ways of backing it up, and then 1 offsite copy of that data. Now, one more thing before we jump into our first demo I want to talk about is Live Protect. So not only can we protect all this data from all these different devices, but we have a special thing that we include to back up your most critical data as it changes, which is our option called Live Protect. It's included in this, and you basically enable it, and then it's going to make sure that it's backing up all that critical data, not based off of that schedule where we're maybe doing a backup once a day or 4 times a day, but it's going to be constantly backing up that data. So you're going to get every version of that as you go forward. So as we're preparing for Cloud Field Day and we're updating this PowerPoint document, making sure we're getting all those versions and we're not losing any copies in case we need to go back and rewind to some point in time. So let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at what setting this up from the client side looks like if you choose to enable that for your users. So here we can see this is our client interface. I'm going to go ahead and hit the wrench and jump in here. This first one allows me to set up backing up based off file types. So where this is great is it's really optimized on just grabbing the data that needs to be backed up. So here we can see it's got documents, images, music, video, custom. Those are actually file types. It's not backing up my documents. It's backing up those specific types of files. Now across the top, we can see that we can choose where we want to grab the data from. So everything across the laptop in case people are saving data everywhere, which definitely happens, or just personal folders, or maybe we don't even want to do a scan. Now our next type of backup here, this is going to be based off of a path. So maybe I want to back up everything under C:, documents and settings, or I want to back up C:, users. I can just come in here and pick that, and it's going to back up all those files that are in that directory. This is also where we can right click and say Live Protect. So say we want to protect everything in there and make sure we're getting all those different versions. We can enable Live Protect from this place. Now, we can enable Live Protect not only just from here, but we can also enable Live Protect from our policy-based system, which we're going to jump into when we get into management. Now here we can see it's going to run a backup at the end of the wizard. It's going to automatically back it up without user intervention. So again, just grab all that data and make sure we back it up without having to have the user manually do anything. Now here, we can choose to back up to a secondary device. Now that could be a local USB hard drive. That could be a NAS device. We can put in separate credentials there. What that does is help us air gap that data and push it to some other location. Now, we can also control our frequency. As we click finish, because we had it checked, it's going to automatically go out and run that first backup. Now that first backup is going to seed all that data up to the cloud. And then after that, we can back up only the changed data instead of having to re-back up all of the whole files from that point going forward.
Chris, I have a question. Is Enrico here?
Absolutely.
So you have a lot of options, but actually what happens if I have very dumb users and I have to push the software to their laptop or whatever, and then I want to fix a policy or several different profiles for different type of user to be pushed directly to the PC so that I'm sure that they are backupping something.
So later we're going to get into management. So we have a MSI Builder tool that lets you build Microsoft installer packages. So you can use any standard RMM tool to push that out. You could use a global domain policy to push that out. And then anytime you apply a backup policy, which is the cloud version of the settings we just saw, it's going to make sure it obeys that. So I think we're going to address all that when we get into the management section.
Okay, thank you very much.
A quick question on the live protecting you were showing. It almost looked and sounded like that's for local laptops and or for documents. Is that still applicable to enterprise applications as well? For example, if I have an application running in cloud, something changes.
No. That's definitely going to be for any. This is all designed for endpoints.
For endpoints, okay.
Correct.
Right.
So any kind of thing where we can install a client and then we can monitor that file system, we're going to be able to see those changes and do those updates.
Okay.
Now, the next thing I want to talk about, we just looked at kind of the client side setup and configuration and how to run that backup, is how do we recover the data? So right here we can see, I've got a slide showing us the desktop version and then the cloud side and how we can see all the different versions of the files we want to recover. But let's go ahead and look at how easy that is to do. Now here we can see we have that same client side interface. So again, this is available if you allow the clients to have the interface or not. You don't have to. But when we come in here, we can see all the different things that we're doing. But if we come over and we look at view and restore, that's going to let me go ahead and pick, basically off a Windows Explorer kind of view, what I want to recover. So I know I want to recover a picture from when I was in Florida. So I do a search. I know it was in April. Now I can see where those files were located. I can see all the different versions. Now I thought I was an artist. I went in there, I edited these photos. I want to get the original version back. I made some poor editing choices. So now when I say I want to recover, I don't want to put the original paths back in there, but I want to get all the versions. I want to find that version that I need. So now when I hit OK, and we bring up this folder, we can see as it starts to restore those photos into that folder. And on the far left, I see the one that's actually in color. And that's the one that I want back. So if I go in there and I double click on that, we can see this is our team down in Florida. And that's the version that I want to post up to LinkedIn or wherever. So it's really easy to find those multiple versions using the client side. But what if I don't have my device with me? Well, you can always go to the Infrascale web portal and be able to recover your data from there also. So here we can see how much data I've got backed up, how many files. I can click on cloud data and easily drill down into my laptop and do the same thing I did if I was on the client, where I can search for a file. Now I see that file, I see the size of the file, I can see all the different versions that I have out there. And then on the sprocket on the far right, I can either download it, I can remotely recover it, so push it back to the end device. So if I want to do a recovery for that endpoint user, I could. Or I can delete the file. And we'll get more into deleting it later because we can actually control whether or not you can delete that file.